Hi, my name is Jeff Pagano, and welcome to the Harpin on Rugby preview show. Joining me to look ahead to Saturday evening's marquee matchup at the Aviva Stadium is someone back for his 13th Harpin cap. It's also known on Twitter as Rugby Kino. Welcome back to Mr. Kino Millor.
Thanks for having us, Jeff. Delighted to be back on.
No problem. Always good having you on. Now, of course, for the last 7 weeks, we've been harping exclusively on Leinster Rugby, but as you can see, I've switched from the provincial to the test merch. And sorry, just a second now. There, sorry. I've only been practicing that for the last hour, you know yourself. No, seriously, before we get to the main match, Kino, with all the talk about jersey confusion for this weekend, whatever, we at least know that won't be the case on Friday night with this extra match down at the RDS. Do you want to have a quick word on the Irish team for this?
True that. And actually, just to make sure there's no confusion about kit clashes on Saturday, I took precautions myself. So,
there's the man. Fair play.
It's old and it's training kit, but
that's as it should be. It's as it should be.
No one's going to mistake it.
Yeah, exactly. Fair play.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward. I'm actually heading to this match tomorrow night. I'm really looking forward to it. That squad is pretty tasty. It's what you want out of an A squad. There's a lot of youth. There's a lot of guys just on the verge of really big things. From a Leinster point of view, you got Jimmy O'Brien, Jamie Osborne. You know, we've seen them play week in, week out. We know what they can do. It's really exciting backline talent. You got Kieran Frawley getting minutes of 10, which is great to see. You got big Joe Mack in the row there, and he's an exciting prospect if we can bring him through. So this is another step up for him. Ross Maloney and Max Deegan on the bench. Max showing some great form of late, and Ross Maloney, obviously a Leinster stalwart at this stage. Just kind of almost hard to see how he hasn't gotten a nod yet towards the Greens. So maybe this is a step in the right direction for him. And outside of that, we got some amazing young players as well, and also some stalwarts from the national side. You maybe getting some game time, bringing them back in. You know, you've got Gavin Thornbury, who really deserves a shot after some great showings, and I really can't wait. It's a strong New Zealand side, though.
Yeah, but I mean, when you think of it, I mean, our team is called Ireland A, and theirs is All Blacks XV, which is much further down the alphabet. So we've got to be firm favorites. I mean, that's how it works, right? You can't argue with the facts, you know? No, seriously, no, it's the 23. If you had to pick all the people we've been talking about on the fringes, it's almost like they've all gone into that 23. It's like almost every name we've been saying, oh, this guy deserves a shot, this guy deserves a shot. Well, now here they are. They're in a big match, like you say, against a strong team, and it's really worth really good looking forward to, and it's a good game to have. Just the night before the game as well. It's brilliant. It's made for a perfect test weekend to start November. Okay, so let's move on and let's talk about this week's feature match, which you can see above there is our Harpin match, which is Ireland versus South Africa. It's part of the 2022 Bank of Ireland Autumn Nations Series. It's taking place at the Aviva Stadium on Saturday. Remember, the 5th of November at 5:15 p.m. It's being shown on Virgin Media and Amazon Prime. Ireland named their matchday squad at 2 p.m. on Thursday. So when we get to Harpin on it, starting with the back line. Fullback, as you can see there, is Hugo Keenan. He's back. And the wings are Mac Hansen, Robert Balakoon. The centers, Robbie Henshaw, Gary Ringrose. And of course, the halfbacks are Conor Murray and skipper Johnny Sexton.
Yeah, I mean, of course, it's going to be a good back line. This is probably the biggest the match of the Autumn Internationals for us. And is it for South Africa? I'm not so sure, but that's kind of another conversation. Hugo Keenan, great to see him back, along with another couple of players. Back from injury just in time, lacks meaningful lead in game time, but we have tended to be quite good at bringing players up to speed quickly and dropping them in to a starting 15. He's so reliable. I have no worries about him. Robert Balakoon, really big opportunity for him. Young player of a type we don't really get many of. You know, he's big, he's fast, he's powerful. He has footwork and he has hands as well. You know, he's just. He's my preferred kind of winger. He's definitely my preference. So I'm really excited to see him run out on Saturday. Ringrose and Henshaw, classic duo. PB&J, hard to knock them. Henshaw in form since I think he was born, possibly. Ringrose really has been showing up in recent weeks as well, though. I'm excited to see what they can do in such a challenging game. I think they could cause South Africa headaches in that midfield with Am missing. That real quality centre. Hansen, I mean, he's rapidly becoming a stalwart of the team. He's definitely a crowd favourite. He makes himself busy in field in that manner that Faz likes to see. He makes himself busy in field and really dangerous in those crossfield kick receipts as well. Can definitely cause damage in the 5 meter channel. And then you got Sexton, Sexton nailed on. He'll annoy everyone who isn't wearing well, sorry, I was going to say green, but blue and green stripy bits and whatnot. He is going to have to be on top form. I think the game plan is probably going to be to try and exploit the backfield a bit. You're going to need to try and find grass because you do not want to be kicking directly to Cheslin Colby. That is a bad plan. So trying to find grass, it's going to have to be pinpoint. Conor Murray gets a century, which is deserved. He's a legend of the Irish game. He's defensively strong and accurate still, and he's really still so good at putting up those contested box kicks, which I think we're going to need to test that South Africa back three. I think the chase is going to be absolutely critical there. His speed of delivery, though, not the usual route for the way Ireland want to play at the moment. There's a possibility between himself and Gibson Park that this may be a bit of rope-a-dope. Keep it defensive, try and run some legs tired, and then bring on a bit of speed and power off the bench in the second half. See what we can do with upping the pace. That's the backs.
Yep, there's loads of possibilities there, and I think one of the best features of it, you were talking about Balakoon there. I think it's great that they showed faith in them. They could have gone a lot of other ways, even with Low out and all that kind of way. There's a lot of other options there, but he's shown faith in him, and they put him straight in there. And you just think of all the ways him and Hansen, they can get him involved and get him into different kind of moves. There's lots of possibilities there, so it's definitely a lot to look forward to. Right, so we're going to move on to the pack now, and in the front row we've got Andrew Porter, Dan Sheehan, and Tyg Furlong. The second row, Tyg Byrne and James Ryan, and the back row, Peter O'Mahony, Josh van der Flair, and Caelan Doris.
I love it. Here's one of the cliches anyway. Your forwards win games. Our forwards have a hell of a job ahead of them on Saturday. Like this is right up there with France in terms of a workload for your forwards to get through. Porter, for example, he's going to be massively important in the loose as he always is. He's so destructive at ruck time. But he also needs to put in a stellar performance in the scrum. His short bind on the outside and low elbow, he leaves him really vulnerable to calls going against him, even if they're 50-50. It tends to look really bad, a lot worse than it is at times. So he's really going to have to do a job, and Tyg Byrne is going to have to do a job behind him as well. Dan Sheehan, seemingly unstoppable right now. He's like a cross between Juggernaut and the Duracell bunny. A ball try from him would hurt South Africa right in the fields. I think that would really get them where they live. That would get them in their house. Great to see. Furlong, another one of the timely returns. He really needs to hit the ground running, because there's few better opportunities to prove yourself as the greatest hybrid scrummaging prop floating centre in South Africa on song. Tyg Byrne, he was one of the players at the New Zealand tour. His breakdown interventions are going to be crucial, because I think the other area we're going to have to, the breakdown. It's every game. Every game is the breakdown. But then you've got two teams who particularly rely on the breakdown going their way, either by slowing it down or making sure it's fast. And that's where the battle is going to be won or lost. So we're really going to need Tyg Byrne on point. But his scrummaging and line-out credentials is going to be tested too. Could be an opportunity for him to put to bed some complaints about maybe his lack of size in the row. He's a very capable scrummager. He is. He might not be one of the behemoths that you do see in international second rows these days, but I think we can if we can get parity for most of the game, then it's there to be had. James Ryan had some epic moments in New Zealand. He really has come back, and he's come back into form again, even since recent injury. I think it's an opportunity for him to lead from the front. again, kind of solidify his place as one of those leaders on the field, as he's a workhorse. That's the role he takes on. He's going to leave Byrne to do the poaching things. He's going to be hitting those rucks. He's going to be making those tackles like he always does. And we're going to need his physicality to do that, to do a job there. Peter O'Mahony, he's just one of those players other teams speak about in whispers. He has this, people are superstitious about him almost. I don't like using the word, totem or anything like it, but his guile in the line out of the loose is still formidable. And I look forward to calling out a bit of shit club more.
That's it.
Van der Fleer. Last of the starting injury returns. What can you say about him? He'd start on almost any team in the world right now, really. And his famously worked on all Cork game is going to be front and centre. Going to need him. Everyone's going to need to be on point. There's no room for a 6 out of 10 if on this team now, if they want to win.
Yeah.
Caelan Doris, thankfully recovered from recent head injury problems. One of our prime power carriers. He is going to also have to make a lot of hard stop tackles. It's got to be game line stuff. You really need to stop them on the line. If they get go forward ball, it's so hard to stop. So he's got a really tough shift ahead.
Yeah. Definitely. I mean, I think the key point there is, like you say, we know what these players can do. The only little question mark we'd have is the guys who are just coming back from long-term injuries, and it's just how they're going to hit the ground running. So we'll see how they do. But no, it's definitely a great lineup, and it matches up well, as well as the opposition's looking. But we'll get to that in a moment. But now we'll have a quick look at the bench. As you can see, it's Rob Herring, Cian Healy, Finlay Bealham, Kieran Treadwell, Jack Conan. They're the forwards, and the backs are Jemison Gibson Park, Joey Carberry, and Stu McCloskey.
Yeah, Herring, really reliable set piece operator, and he's no slouch around the park either. Like he will absolutely do a job. And if there's a lead in the late game, he's absolutely who you want to be bringing on. The scrum's not going to suffer because of the line. It's not going to suffer because of him. Healy can still do a job. He is in the twilight of his career now. You might even wonder, will he actually see it out to a World Cup? But really, he's the guy right now. I don't see anyone else stepping up to his level as of yet. 118 caps speaks for itself. He is he's a wily operator in the scrum as well. Like, he can hold his own. And Finlay Bealham has been going from strength to strength. Everyone came out of New Zealand with pluses in their columns, but some came out with pluses, and I really think he did. And he's carried that through now. He's had some excellent showings for Connacht, including a rare man of the match winner for a front row. Rarely happens, and it's usually very, very well deserved. So yeah, absolutely, going to be a test. Absolutely, no doubt on that. Certainly in the scrum. Treadwell, again, another New Zealand plus. Great to see him getting a shot off the bench. An underappreciated player who's, delighted to see him getting a go. Conan, what can you say? Like, I have some worries about his carrying between the channels. He's right out wide for carrying, but he is not your typical power carrying 8. So I'm sure they have a plan for that. I'm sure they know what they're doing there. You might see a bit of jigging about with the second row, back row. I don't know. James Gibson Park. You'd wonder, like, was he not fit for the game plan, or was the game plan changed on the basis of fitness? I don't know. It'll be interesting to see, because you don't put someone on the bench for a match like this if they're not fit enough to play. Because you could have Conor Murray going down in the first minute, the third minute, the fifth, whatever, and you're going to have Gibson Park down for a 75 plus. So you just don't at this level. You're not going to take that kind of gamble. So I'm wondering what the plan is behind that. Is there maybe a rope-a-dope kind of keep it very, very tight as possible. Play maybe more defensively, keep playing that territory game, but instead of maybe pushing it with all out hands to the edge attack, just to keep it tight.
And then
so
up
we'll
the
see,
pace, up the pace maybe in the
and
last
then
half
up the
hour.
pace off the bench. And then speaking of upping the pace, you got Joey Carberry, who's itching to prove that he's kicking on, and you've got Stuart McCloskey now. I'm delighted that McCloskey's on the bench. It's great to see him there. He really has been playing his socks off. He's been absolutely vital for Ulster. I'd say he's possibly been their best player now so far this season. And I know all the Ulster fans are absolutely over the moon that he's on. It'll be interesting to see how things get rejigged when he comes on.
Ringer the winger?
That's possibly what I'm thinking. He's got the chutzpah to do it, and it could be really exciting. So with that power duo of maybe McCloskey going inside to 12, Henshaw out to 13, Bryn Rosette in the wing, that's pretty tasty.
And you talk about mixing things up at the hour mark as well. I mean, that would really do that. So we were talking about how we had a podcast during the week looking at what Ireland needs to do to evolve from what they've done over the past year. And that would be an example. They need to do different things and not just have the same formula from a successful season. You can't do that in modern day rugby anymore. So that would definitely be an option. All right. Yeah. So it's a great set of possibilities we have for ourselves. All right. Right. So let's move on to our opposition. Now, hopefully my graphics department will be putting the lineup on the screen, or if you're listening on the pod, it's in the program notes. I've been saying all week, our number one world ranking is really going to be put to the test against the reigning world champions. It's the Springboks. And if that's not enough hype for the match, we also have a small matter of a World Cup Pool B date with them on September 23rd, 2023. So, Keno, what do you make of their match day squad?
Oh, it's rather good, isn't it? I mean, their idea of experimental is taking quality players like Cheslin Kelby and going, oh yeah, we'll put him at fullback, and he's our backup 10. And Damien Willemse, yeah, he might not be the first or even second or possibly even third choice out after South Africa. It's such a quality operator. It's those I'm kind of focusing on. I mean, the rest of it kind of builds itself really. I mean, certainly. I mean that pack kicks off Mark Smalerba, Etzbeth, De Jager, Khaleesi, Dutoit, and Visa.
What can you say?
Then the bench, they've got Koch back in as well to come in off the bench, which is lovely for them. I'm delighted for them, really. It is. I think this is why we haven't seen an Irish selection that's trying to go head to head. And I think, frankly, it's both brave and correct. You're not going to beat these lads head to. You're not going to beat South Africa by playing a South African style game. You try to get some parity in the set pieces where they're going to be very strong. And I believe the referee is quite a scrum nerd as well. And you look to attack their weaknesses. They've got a relatively short back line. If you can find grass, if you can get the chasers in there, then you're in with a shot. You're in with a shout. Like there's certainly possibilities there, and you certainly want to keep them try to keep them playing in their own half. Yeah. So I think testing that spacing behind is going to be huge, and the relative possibly positional naivety of Colby and Willemse. Like Willemse is very young out half. This is a big test.
Yeah, I think the 9-10 matchup is going to be a big deal for us. I think that's where we can definitely have an edge with it, just on the experience alone. Because I mean, however strong your pack is, or however fast your back lines are, if they're not being linked up, and if we're pushing them on the back foot more often than not, it's definitely somewhere we can make inroads. And like you say, I mean, these lineups, I mean, just between the two of them, another thing it could double as it's a URC all-star game. You know what I mean? It's an amazing match in every which way you look at it. But so it's definitely looking forward to it. Okay, so you mentioned the referee there. His name is, I'm going to have a go at it now. It's Nika Amashukeli. He's Georgian. He's done well in the past. We've seen him have some good outings. assistants are Matthew Reynel from France, Andrea Perardi from Italy, and the TMO, I'm just going to have his name there on the screen there. I'm not going to have a go at saying it. The weather forecast for Dublin on Saturday evening is partly cloudy, 10 degrees, 25% chance of rain with a wind mostly heading, not much of a wind, but mostly heading towards the south stand. So now we move on to head on the block time. Just quickly, we're going to do some predictions. Just give a margin for the Ireland game and maybe a couple of the other teams you think might win.
Okay. Okay. So, well, playing fantastic players in those positions. South Africa are missing some positional maturity at 5, 15, and 10. May or may not cause emissions on the day. That's to be seen. We look like we're not tailoring the game too much to the opposition, but instead we're trusting our systems, which is exactly what you want to see. It's what we're going to be playing in the World Cup. It's what we've been working towards. Don't let them dictate the game. Bring it to them. If we can execute that game plan to the levels that we saw in the second and third New Zealand tests, there's no reason we can't win this game. So I'm going to go Ireland by 6.
Very good. Yeah, the bookies are saying 5. I'm going just a tiny bit more conservative. I'm saying maybe 2 to 4, whatever. But I definitely see there's definitely several ways we can win this, and it's especially if we get off to good starts, which you've been seeing a lot from both Leinster and Ireland in recent times. So yeah, definitely. So just from the other matches, who do you see winning?
I see Scotland winning their game, but fairly handsomely. I said 19 points. I'm going on them. New Zealand, Wales. Sorry, Wales. I see New Zealand winning that by 10 points. France, Australia. I see France kicking into gear and absolutely destroying Australia. I see that'll look like a 20-point win. And I reckon England are going to take theirs by about 15 points. That's my guess.
Okie dokie.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Right. So we're going to leave it there. Many thanks to Keno for joining me today. Be sure to enjoy the match wherever you are. And at the full-time whistle, why not head on over to the Harpin and Rugby Facebook page and leave your thoughts. We'll share them in our wrap-up pod this Sunday evening. In the meantime, stay safe, everyone. Slán.